2, 3, 4.
Shoo up, my sugar, shoo up, my little butterbean.
Down, diddy, down, 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 diddy, diddy, down, diddy, down, down, do I do it, down, diddy, down, down, you're so pretty, pretty, down, diddy, down, down. Ain't it funny how fun love can be? Diddy, 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 down, diddy, down, 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 diddy, diddy, down, diddy, down, down.
Welcome back to the Norfolk Knitting School. Now, before I forget, I wanted to praise the people that have made the show possible. To my right is Katie, who has done an absolutely amazing job videoing, taping, and filming the you can see I'm not the one on the technical crew, you know, showing the knitting. And she's just done a fabulous job. And last show, Donna Jones made her directorial debut directing the show, so I was very grateful for that, very pleased, and she's on again today. And then I have Kevin on this camera, so thanks to everybody. I mean, I really, really appreciate it. Okay, now on a more somber note, I happen to be old school, and I taught for 34 years, and it's a good thing I got out when I did because my style was no longer appreciated. But so we have a quiz today. All right, now you try at home and see if you can answer this. They're not going to go up on the screen, but you are going to look at my swatches. I made a bunch of swatches over the week, so the questions are going to be based on the swatches. So you see if you can answer, and then I will tell you what the answer is. All right, so we're going to start here. Now, I'd like you to tell me what this stitch is. What is this stitch called, and how do you make it? This was on last week's show. All right, so we'll wait a few seconds. Well, I can pull it out for you. Maybe that'll make it a little easier for you to see. Oh, sorry about the left to right, Katie. Okay, there we go. Well, this is called ribbing, and it's knit one, purl one. There's the purl, and there's the knit. There we go. This is called ribbing, okay? So how'd you do? Did you get it? All right. Now, I'd like to know what this stitch is called, and how do you make this one? Very, very widely used. Most of what you buy in the store or sweaters is this. There we go. Is this stitch. So what is the name of this stitch, and how is this made? By the way, you know, when you do make whatever you make, you always want to check and make sure you've got the right side out at the bottom, because if I turn this over, see, you're just going to see a lumpy thing down here. See, so I always, when I am working in stockinette, although usually, oh, I gave it, okay, that was the answer. Ha, stockinette. Okay, but now how do you make stockinette? Well, it's one row of knitting, which is what you're seeing on this side, and over here you do a row of purl. And the purls, just remember the little round things like purls, little bumps. And this is called reverse stockinette. So we're going to, I brought my knitting stitch library, and I done a little something with that to show you. Okay, now believe me, once you master these two stitches, you can do just about everything. I mean, there are yarn overs and lace, and there's this and that, and bobbles and things like that, and seaming, or shaping rather, I mean to say. But this really is pretty much it. Okay, and now, all right, now, okay, this is really the first thing I showed you. What is this stitch called, and how is this made? And this is the right side. This would be the right side of your fabric, because, again, over here, I don't know, some people might like to see it come all the way down. I just don't. But as you can see, it's the same on both sides. And so this is called the garter stitch. And it's made by knitting every row. So I'm just going to, well, yeah, let me go on with the quiz. And then, well, no, you know what I'll do? Let me go and do a few stitches here. Okay, this is a 7. Okay, and this is a 7. So I've got some more swatches over here. So you know what I'm just going to go through here and knit these. You know, just do a row here. I'm this is like a puppet master's. So everything's going to get kind of scrambled up here, but that's okay. So I left this on so I could do a little more knitting, and there we go. There we go. All right, so ribbing. This is knit 1, purl 1 ribbing. You can do knit 2, purl 2. Very good, Katie. Beautiful. Great shot. There's the purl. Here's the knit. And this goes on cuffs. It goes at the bottom of sweaters, although you do see some sweaters with other treatments, like something I'm going to show you shortly. Sometimes people just do stockinette and let the bottom roll up. I don't think that looks very flattering, but you know. All right, so there is our, there it is. Okay, all right, so that was the ribbing. And you know, I think I'm just going to pull this off for the time being here and just let this go. Oh dear. All right. Okay. Now, and then what was the next thing oh yes. Oh, sorry. Getting a little mixed up here, all the strands. All right, now here's the stockinette, and I'm going to do 2 rows on this because there's 1 stitch on one side and 1 on the other. So let me get my strands here. All righty, so stockinette. Okay, so in behind. Now, sometimes, so those of you that know a little bit more about knitting, see, I'm actually going through the front loop, although my needle is behind. Now, there's a way to twist stitches, and you can do it in stockinette, and it gives a little different look. And it's knit through the back loop, which is this. So we're here. It's a little bit. See, there you see it in the front. There, it's right there. And knit through the back loop is this, but we're knitting through the front loop. You know, I think probably the stupidest thing I ever did in terms of knitting, okay, now I'm going in the back, reverse stockinette, which is the purl stitch, this was a long time ago when I had my knee that eventually got replaced. It was being scoped. In those days, they kept you overnight. So there's the purl. And I don't know, I guess I was just, I'm sure I was scared and nervous, and I insisted, even though I had an IV in this hand, I insisted on knitting. And so the vein sort of collapsed, but you know, it healed and all, but it was just pretty ridiculous. I don't know why I wasn't reading instead, but all right, so purl and purl, all right. And then, all right, and so I'm going to pull this guy off. Pulley, there we go. I'm also going to show you today, how you pick up stitches if your knitting does fall off, how you pick the stitches up. Okay, and garter. And so, of course, get this. Okay. And now garter, which is, if those of you that are making scarves, I would suggest that you go with this, although I have some stitches here that are knit and purl stitches that you can work into your scarf to make a pattern that really is very, very simple. And I've also started doing a letter. So you could put a letter, your first name initial, into a scarf, but I'll show you that. Okay, so there's one. Okay, and there you see, you can see the little stitch there. And oh, you know what? I think I made a mistake. I think, see this here? Huh! I don't think I was paying attention, and I did an extra. I think I may have done an extra something or other in here, or purled or something when I was supposed to knit. See how that shows? Ah, well. Now I have clay feet, but that's okay. You know, an idol with clay feet instead of marble, I guess, is what that means. Okay, I'm knitting. I probably just wasn't paying attention. And you know, once you master these two stitches, especially the knit stitch, you do not have to look at your work. Yeah, see, that's what. Well, I don't know. Maybe there wasn't a mistake there. Okay, so there. Okay, so that's that. So I'm going to take this off. Okay, now to proceed with the quiz. All righty, here we go. Now, this is going to be a little harder. Can anybody tell me by looking at this what this is? I think I showed it to you last time, but those of you that, and see, I had to add a little strand on here. When you add a strand, if you have to break your thread or you're going with a new ball, you always put it on the side here. So this is, and this is the same on both sides. So this is a really popular stitch, and I love the way this looks. This is knit one. This is called the seed stitch, and it's knit one, purl one, like the ribbing. But then you go on the other side and you purl over the knit and you knit over the purl. So I'm going to show that to you. Seed stitch. And again, you know, you see the little balls like seeds. Now this yarn I'm using, I got at Michael's. I had told you about getting an inexpensive yarn. And I got this at Michael's. It's called Impeccable. And it really doesn't feel bad. It's an acrylic. I meant to bring the label, but I didn't bring it. It's all acrylic, and it really does not feel bad. There was something cheaper there that was just so terrible to the feel that I couldn't. But you know, it's a big skein, and it was like $4, I think. So you can do lots of practicing on that. All right, so now I'm starting with a purl stitch here. So I'm going to knit over it. And now I'm coming to a knit stitch. I'm going to purl over that. Sorry I don't have matching needles. I don't know what happened. Knit over the purl over the knit. And it makes it's a nice tight, this would be very good for a scarf. You want to make your gauge loose enough. This would be a little heavy, a little bit of a heavy hand or gauge for a scarf, but it looks very nice. Okay, purl, so I'm going to knit. A knit, I'm going to purl, I knit over a purl, and there I go. Now, both of my emails, after all that last time, both of the emails are working. It's the AM Battistone at Hotmail and the Knit Life 1 at Google. Somehow my husband straightened it out for me. All righty. And there's your seats. And I just think it's a really good looking. And people sometimes use this for instead of ribbing because it's got some stretch to it, but it's nice and tight and it holds its shape. All righty, I'm going to stick this down here. And now, having seen, okay, let me bring this back. Okay, let me hold these together here. Okay, now if this, sorry, if this is knit one, purl one, over purl one, knit one. Okay, so I'm knitting over the, see the purl, there's the knit, here's the purl, so you can kind of see. Now, if that's what this is, this stitch doesn't have a name, but what would this be? Can anybody see it? Well, this is knit 2, purl 2. Again, knitting over the purl and purling over the knit. So, show you. I don't like this as well as the, but you know, when again, I mean, I don't want to make things seem too complicated for you, but I think you'll really enjoy doing these knit and purl stitches when you go to make your scarf, or you go to, I'm going to get people started on a sweater. I'm going to be gone for a little while I have my other knee replaced in the middle of June, so I'm trying to do as many shows. All right, so here we go. Here's my strand, 2 purl stitches. So I'm going to knit over those. And purl over my knits. There's the knit. I'm going to purl. Purl, I knit. And as you get used to knitting, you will be able to look and see what you are supposed to be doing. And you'll see where, if you have a section, say, of reverse stockinette, which is actually purling, you'll be able to see. Now, I put an odd number of stitches here, so that wasn't good. But anyway, it's just a swatch. So, and that's it. And there you are. I think it looks pretty good. Now, I would have put another row on the top of there. As you can see, it's 2, 2, 2. So, all righty. Okay, I think we finished our quiz. Now, I have a joke. I went looking for knitting jokes, and there aren't too many of them. And there was one that really wasn't about knitting. It was really about yarn, and it was from the UK. I mean, knitting is extremely big in the UK. I mean, bigger than here. And so I'll see if I do the British accent. I listen to Rox TV, which is a jewelry show from the UK, so I may be able to do this. I'm not a big joke teller, but so a strand of yarn walks into a bar, and the bartender says, "Mate, I don't like your looks. We don't serve your kind here. Out you go." So the yarn leaves, and is thinking, we really wanted that drink. So we think, what can I do? So the yarn puts itself into a knot and frays the ends. And you remember, I was telling you about that bamboo yarn that was always coming apart with all the little strands. Not all yarns will do that. So the yarn goes back into the bar, and the bartender says, "Mate, ain't you the guy that just walked in here?" And the yarn says, "No, sir, I'm afraid not." So there it is. That isn't really a knitting joke, but I have another one. And actually, there's so few of them, I shouldn't waste the 2 of them on the one show, but here I go. So now, why did the ball of yarn join a dating service? Well, she wanted to get engaged. And that brings me to, as my sequel, to go on to show my swatch again. I know I keep showing this, but I can't tell you how important gauge is. So this is stockinette, reverse stockinette, as we were just saying. And this was done, I think, on a 2. This was done on a 5. So what I like to do is bring this up and show you. And see, stockinette rolls on the sides, which is why you cannot use stockinette on a scarf unless you want it to all roll. So then when you look at this, you see the difference in, sorry, I'll learn this someday. You can see how loose this is, and of course it's wider. And believe you me, when you're working with, when you're doing a sweater that's like 30 or 40 inches around, this little bit, you say, oh, just a little bit. Believe me, it adds up, and it's a big problem. All righty. Now, okay, what I had done here, well, first of all, I ripped some of this out. And I'm going to show you how to pick up your stitches if they do come out. Now, on the edge here, well, I'll do that in a minute. Now, when you pick up your stitches, you want to go into one and the other direction. And this way and this. Now, even if you do them all the same, even if you go to all of them and do them all the same way, which I'm going to do right now. See, there's that little thingamajig there. See, these are not very, okay. these are not very pointed needles. So I'm gonna pick these up all in the same direction, which is not what I told you to do. There we go. And I'll show you what happens. You just have to, and that's, I believe that's my yarn over there, and my last stitch. Okay. So, I mean, just because you have, excuse me, just because you've dropped your stitches, and even if they go down, another show I'll show you when they go laddering down, you can pick those up. I just use the knitting needle, but some people like to use the crochet hook. So because I looked at my shows and I realized there was some things I said I was going to do and I didn't do, and I got a little discombobulated. Now, I don't know if you remember last time I was showing you that purse, and I was showing you the decreases to make this little sort of fancy edge at the top of your purse. So let me go back and, is this my 7? Yeah. Oh, these match, okay. So, oh no, you know what, this is out of place here. Hang on, let me do this properly. I think this is supposed to have been picked up like this. You know what, I've got, there's something isn't right here. Actually, maybe this is supposed to be. All right, let me just knit this. Something went wrong here, but let's go back and see if we can straighten it out. All right, so you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to just take both of these up like this. I think that's, so what I was showing you last time was to decrease. Now, what I would do at home, I would rip the whole thing out and go back to where, you know, but I'm just going to, and then I did a yarn over. Now I'm on the purl side, so I'm going to actually, no, I'm going to knit this straight across. That's right, sorry. Okay. Now, all right, now see, now this one here, let me get this, okay, see these are feeding in pretty well. Now see, this one, I have to go this way and get it to lie flat. So actually, I think I gave you the wrong directions here. You do want, I always find it easier. I'll tell you why I do that every other. I think that's what I was thinking of, is I find it a little easier to get in there and pick the stitch up before it drops. Okay, so now this was my yarn over. I'm going to knit that. That makes the hole. Okay. Now, over here, okay. This is just a fancy decrease edge if any of you were interested. So now I'm going to make a decrease here. Bring this over. Pick this back up. Knit this again. I mean, you may as well see these things happen because and now I do a yarn over this way because I'm knitting, and I come back across. Yeah, I'm sorry, that was my mistake. When you do this, you're supposed to do it on the knit row. That was what I did wrong. Okay, all right, so now knit here. Okay, and I'm going to go back. You know what I'll do? I'll do this properly for you the next time, because I've gotten kind of mixed up here, but I'll show this to you the next time. But this was what I was trying to show you, and I've gotten it kind of a little screwed up here. But there's what you want. Now, okay, so if you go back over here on this side, now what I did here, this is stockinette. Now, if you're making a scarf, I mean, you can kind of forget about this now, but I've got some other things to show you as well. If you're making a scarf and you wanted to do something like this, where you're going to have a relief of purl, or reverse stockinette in this case, against stockinette. And I was just kind of fooling around with this. Now, if I'd made this a little differently, it would have looked more like a heart if I had taken it down like this. Whenever you make, if you wanted to put something like this into your scarf, and you're working in garter stitch, which is here, if you're working in garter stitch, you would then make yourself a little space of stockinette, so that when you see this, it will be visible on the stockinette. Now, I'm working on something here. Okay, let's see. All right, now, I went to Knitting Nonsense. I don't know, it's kind of a, with a K and O. Knitting Nonsense, which they can put up on www.knitting nonsense. And what this woman does is she's showing you how to make these washcloths or dish rags out of cotton, so material 100% cotton yarn. And she's done all the letters of the alphabet. Now, this happens to be D. Some of the pictures didn't show. In some cases, she didn't have any examples of them. This was a dolphin, but didn't show up. And this is okay. I kind of tried to fill this in for you. This one did have a picture. This was a B. So I'm working on D. I started making the D, and I want to show you. Well, let's look at this first. Cast on 36 stitches. Now, they're asking you for size 7 knitting needles. She's not mentioning the gauge because these were supposed to be dishcloths, so it didn't really matter. And you don't have to do 36. This is what it's set up for. Those of you that can do a little bit of simple math, you can sort of figure, well, let's see, if I want to make it 30, then what do I do in here? How do I adjust these? So 1 to 4 was knit across. Now, let me go over to the D, the one I was doing. Oh, that's this one here. Okay, we're on D. Okay, so I started it here. Okay. And I'm going to just, okay, so I started it here. I'll take these aside with something else I want to show you. Okay, so they ask you to do knit rows 1 to 4 knit across. So that's what I did. I got the garter here. So that's supposed to sort of stabilize it. And over here. So she has you continue. So when you get to row 5, knit 3, purl 30, knit 3. And that's an all remaining even number rows knit across. So that's going to give you your stockinette. So here I knit across, I kept knitting across, and that gave me the garter over here. Now this is garter stitch. Now over here what I showed you, has a kind of a heavy look. This was just purling over stockinette. If you look on the back, there you see now, this looks like stockinette because that's what stockinette is. It's knit one side, purl one side. And this is reverse stockinette. So this is more subtle. But again, this is a dishcloth. And so I counted my stitches this way because there's 55 stitches. Excuse me, 55 rows. So I counted my rows. So I went up through 15. So that was in row 15, knit 3, row 15 was knit 3, purl 8, oh, so that was this, sorry. So it was knit 3, purl 8, knit 15, purl 8, purl, I'm on 6, excuse me, I'm sorry, I'll be on 16, excuse me, so that's an even number, sorry, so that was an even numbered row, so I knitted right across, sorry, on that. Okay, now let me go back, so now that would be 16, there was a pencil here, but alas and alack, it looks like it's gone away from me. So I'll be on 16. I'm going to do row 16. Let me attach my yarn. See, this is so like me to let things get away. Oh, here we go. Okay. Let's cut this. Strand going here somewhere. Ooh. That's the acrylic that doesn't want to cut. So let me bring this up here. I'm going to put this on the end. Try to get it down as close as I can. Okay. Now I could have done a better job, but that'll be all right. I'm going to pull these guys off for the moment. Okay, so I'm on row 16. Okay, 6 and all even numbered rows knit across. So I'm going to knit across here. So you know what, we're going to take, let me take a break here. Let me finish this long row and get back on track here. And we'll be right back with the Norfolk Knitting School. Oh, you stayed, you didn't leave. Great. Good. Very good. And the knitting god was smiling on me because I made a big boo-boo here. And luckily, for full disclosure, and luckily I didn't have to be completely humiliated on the. So I figured I still got myself. So I mean, these things happen. You're looking at these, these rows, and that's why what I had done was I hadn't tallied it properly over here. So I just did row 17. So now I'm on row 18, which is an even numbered row. So I'm going to knit across, and you'll see that the D is coming out pretty nicely. Maybe I should get it. There it is. Okay, there's the D. Okay, there's the bottom of the D. Very good. Oh, good. My girl's right on the. So, okay, so now I'm going to knit all the way across. So here, it's going to look like garter, and here, it's going to look like stockinette. Now, if you wanted to put something like this into your sweater, your scarf, and you're doing garter, then this would be much wider. This would be going over to the edge of your scarf, and you can make this narrower. You don't have to have this much of a stockinette frame for the letter. So I'm going to continue knitting. Now, if you were to do this very pattern for your letter on your scarf, when the scarf turns over, it won't be as easy to see, and I'll show you that in a second. But with this other thing I did here, it'll sort of look like a heart, that can go either way, and it looks okay on both sides. Now, okay, this is what happens with these things. Okay, so I don't know if you saw what I did. Some of these little strands came out, and they were kind of hanging there, so I just took it, and I took it back like this, put it back where it belonged. Okay, so knitting again. Now I made something to show you. I enlarged a knit and purl pattern from this book, and I gotta tell you, it took me 3 tries to get it right. And I was in a cafe, and the waiter probably wondered why they let me out alone because he saw me make. Well, you'll see it. All righty, there we go. Okay, so garter, stockinette, garter, stockinette, garter, stockinette. Now on the other side, see, now of course being a letter, it's going to be backwards. So, actually that, but you do see it a little bit. Okay, so that was row 18. All right, now rows 9 to 35, odd numbered. So that's where I am now. I just did 18. Okay, so here I am on my page. Okay, 19 to 35, odd number rows. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do row 19 now. So let's see what this is going to bring us. So, okay, so So knit 3. I don't know if maybe, maybe they can put this up on the bottom of the screen. If you can, that would be good. But you can see it right here on the, okay. So I'm at knit 3. Alrighty. Then it says purl 8. Now, when I get to this, okay, I'm going to see I'm coming up with a purl row. So I'm going to read my instructions, but then I'm going to look at this and I'm going to see 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And now when I look at it, I see something else is here, you see. So let me look back and say, okay, I did my purl 8, knit 5. Yep, that makes sense, because that's going to show up as a garter on the other side. 3, 4, 5. So I'm just going to hold this up. There you see it. Here's the garter that I just did. Okay. Purl 6, that's the inside of the D. So this woman made all these, initial dish rags, and then she did a whole afghan of the shape of states. And then she also did animals and flowers and things like that. I mean, it's kind of, but it's all knit and purl. So this you can do. You absolutely can do this. All right, so there was my, all right, 19, purl 6, knit 5. That's taking me back to my garter. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, there I am, knit 5, purl 6, and that looks right to me because I can see it coming up. And for my border, which is garter, knit 3. So again, I mean, once you master these two, these are, I mean, this is, I mean, I don't know, I think this is just great. So, you know, really where this would look really nice is on a sweater, like maybe even like a kid's sweater. And you would, at that point, you'd be doing stockinette, you'd be seaming it, you'd have your ribbing somewhere down here, and you could just put the D right there in the front of the sweater. And I think it would look great. Okay, now, let me show you, okay, I may as well, okay, let me do this. I have something else to show you, but I can save that till the end. Or, all right, now, okay, so this came from Knitting Nonsense with a Knonsense. And there were all these, you know, and when you get over there, you'll see all the letters and you'll see all the animals and the states. And I mean, the states seem kind of corny to me to be knitting the shape of states, but. All right, now this book is, if you really think this is something you want to do, and you think you want to be a knitter, I would get there. I mean, it's fun just to look at. I doubt they'd have it in our library. Who knows? But you should be able to get this on Amazon or, you know, one of the knit stores. These Nimble Needles in Walpole probably has it. Thing about books is they don't like you to bring them back because they think you've copied everything. Blah blah blah. And if you go on, pardon me, if you go on Amazon, of course you're going to have to. You know, return it if you want to. You have to pay, blah, and everything else. But, okay, so now these are all knit and purl stitches. So I like this one. I didn't decide to make a big version of this. Now, you say, well, what in the world is that? Well, the way this book works is this. Hang on. All right. So what this woman has done is she is numbering the rows. So row 1 would be on the right side, and I've got a bigger copy of this. 2 would be your reverse side. 3 would be the right side. 4 is the wrong side. And here what she says here is, and a blank, okay, you look down here, this one, that's for this here. The blank is stockinette. So she says a blank square represents 2 stitches, knit on a right side row, purl on a wrong side row. That's stockinette. Now this is garter over here. A dot represents 2 stitches. Purl on a right side row and knit on a wrong side row. So that's what we were just doing, was the garter. And so you work, so it says all rows that are numbered on the right hand side are read from that side and represent right side rows. Rows that are numbered on the left hand are read from that side and represent wrong side rows. So, and you'll see as you do it, it will make sense to you. So let me, okay, and then here, see, for the more fancy ones, see, she's got all of these symbols. And then when you go, I'm just going to take a page here. Oh, dear God. Well, anyway, so here you've got, actually, this is just knit and purl, and I don't think there's even any twists. There isn't even a twist in here. Here's a twisted stitch here, cable, and look at that. I tell you, not for the faint of heart. But so let me go back to what okay, now what I did was I took this. It's kind of like polka dots. And what I did was I went and, oh, the title of this book, sorry. The title of the book is The New Knitting Stitch Library, Leslie Stanfield, from Lark Books. And if you want me to, if you want to email me and get that, but it's, get it, tell you again, but it's The New Knitting Stitch Library. And I don't know when this was printed. I've had this a pretty long while, but I don't think that these, oh good Lord, 1998, but I just think they keep making these books. And if it's not this one, it would be another one, but, so, okay, here we go. All right, so on a scarf, you could make this look like polka dots. And I thought this was pretty easy. So what I did was I got this graph paper from Walgreens, and I made a big version of this, which, if you really, you could easily do this yourself. Now, the original pattern is a multiple of 10 stitches plus 1. And the plus 1 is at the very edge. Now, when these people make up these stitches, I don't know how they do this. It's nothing I've ever tried to do. I feel I'm crazy enough without putting myself through that. But so what I did was I made a bigger one. I made 22 stitches. So I have an extra one here, and my other one and this goes across here. This is 22 stitches here. So I went and I copied this, because you see, when they show you on here, they just show you, they think you'll understand that when you get to the end here, you'll be starting back over here. So I did a double repeat. Okay, and then what I also did, it's a pattern of 20 rows, so I just started back on 1 again to show you that 1 was this. And so these would all be your purl on the right side. So here's the key: purl right side, knit. Oh gosh, that's wrong. Oops. Knit. Oh my goodness. Purl on the right side, knit on the wrong side. See? So the blanks, knit on the right side, purl on the wrong side, which would be called stockinette. You know what that is. And then this shows purl on the right side, knit on the wrong side. Sorry. Not good. So I thought maybe what I might do is start this with the 11 stitches. But before I do that, I'm just a little bit worried about showing you something here, because I don't want this to unravel. It also has to do with scarves. And I had said to you, I'm going to pick these stitches up. we go. Now, another little thing is when you pick up stitches, if you feel like if you're nervous about it, use a smaller needle. It will go through very easily. Okay, and get in there. So a smaller needle will slide right through these. This is the same needle I worked with. Okay, this is a way that you can make these little triangles on the bottom of your scarf. So I'm going to go back here. I'm going to undo this to show you what I did. Get some yarn here. Okay. Now I'm going to take this out first. Oh, here, I'll use this one. Here, this is easier. Use this. Okay. Okay. I'm going to take this out so you can see what I did. But this, I think this looks really neat at the bottom of a scarf in garter. So you make these little things separately, and then you knit across and you attach them, and you just keep knitting up. So I'm going to take this out and show you what I did. Okay, there we go. Just taking it out like that. So this last row was the row that attached these two little triangles. Okay, and we go there. Okay, there it is by itself. Okay, and I'm going to take this other one off. Okay, let's see, here we go. Wait a minute, sorry. Actually, this is, you know what, I'm going in the wrong direction here. There we go, sorry. I mean, as you can see, you know, I mean, it's, you know, it's little things happen, but you get out of it. You know, you pull yourself out of these little spots, and you look and you see what you're doing, and you don't panic. Okay, now, all right, there we go. So now I've got the two of them. And what I did was, and if we don't have time, okay, so that's kind of backwards. Let me turn this guy around. There we go. All right, there we go. So what I did was I started with one stitch, and then I knit into that one, and I just increased these as I went. So let me show you this. Let me make this one a little bit bigger. So I just went like this, pulled this through, went back in here, and knit it again. And that made my increase. So here we're going to go across. We're doing garter, so it's all knitting. And you can make these really any size you want. Okay, and this guy's turned around the wrong way, so I'm just merely going to do that. And now my last stitch, I go through, take this, go back in, knit another stitch. And that gives me another stitch on the end, and a little wider triangle. Okay. Now, what I did before, what I took out was, and this needs to be turned around too. Let me get this, turn this guy around. There we go. Okay. So then what I do when I've made these the way I want them, I just go across, I just go right here, kind of hold on to this because you want to maintain your tension, and just knit right across, and you're going to have this as your base, as your bottom of your scarf. Now, when you come to the end, And I'll show you that next time to make these little points on the other end of the scarf. You just sort of do the reverse. Okay, so now I've got these attached again. And I'll show you how I made these little triangles too. So now I don't know where all this yarn is coming from, but I just got to grab some here. Okay, again, I'm going to make this, okay, I'm going to go knit back. I'm going to tie this as closely as I can. Let me get rid of some of this length. And you know, you can always, I'll show you how to weave, you weave these ends in. Don't worry about, worry about these ends hanging out as you're working. So what I try to do is kind of, I don't know if Katie can see this, I try to kind of slide it down. There, it's not too, well, not too bad. Could have been better, but not too bad. Okay, so now, if this were my scarf, I just keep knitting. And I've got this cute little, I hate the word cute, why am I saying cute? But I think it makes it very interesting, it's unusual. Most of the scarves you see are squares. They're long, big long rectangles, and they don't have to be. There's also a book for you people that are more advanced. There's a book called, I think her last name is Goldstein. I will get you the right title, but it's all about adding on embellishments to the end of your stitching, to the hem of your sweater or the hem of your scarf. So I come right along. Here I am, no problem. Go right through. Let me pull this strand. And I go right along, and there I am. So now I just should have organized my yarn a little bit better here. So now I'm just going to work this right straight up for my scarf. Now actually, if you find, when you get to the other end, if you find making these on the other direction hard or confusing, you can always, okay. Now this is something that happens with knitting. I don't know why this happens. Sometimes this last stitch gets all stretched out. So this is what I do with it. I take it and I twist it around and I put it back up here and I knit it in. Nobody will ever see that, but it takes up the slack of that little extra. So I go back, here I am again. Okay, so nobody's going to see that. But you got rid of that big loopy stitch. It may be something the way I knit, but I know other people do end up with that little, oops, that little loose stitch on the end. Now another thing you do for your border when you're making a scarf, so see now I don't have any worries here. It's going to go right across as if nothing happened. See, now you won't have your yarn all tangled up like this, so you won't have to. And this was called Impeccable at Michael's, what I'm using. And it really doesn't feel bad at all. They call this weight Aran. Get in there. They call this weight Aran because this is the yarn that the Irish use to make those Irish sweaters, and this off-white color is the sort of classic. So now, okay, and there I am, and there's the beginning of my scarf. Now you'll just weave this little thing in here, and I don't know, I think that looks pretty cool. And you can make as many of these as you want. You can make 3 or 4 or 5, and I think I may have to, I don't know if we're going to have enough time today for me to show you the triangles from scratch. And I'm just going to go do one more row here if you don't mind, so I just want to see how nice this looks. And it's invisible. But believe me, this is something that you absolutely can do. And next time I will show you how to make the little points. Because I'd have to start over. I'd have to start, cast it on and so forth. But and those of you that like to throw, and when you get, as I say, when you get to the point where you're doing this garter stitch easily, you do not have to look at this. Okay, so, and there's the bottom of my scarf. Now, this, like I said, you got to pull this little guy in there, and you just kind of weave it in the back, and I'll show you that. I didn't bring my crochet, but that just work that straight up, and that's the bottom of your scarf. I don't know, I think that looks pretty cool. And all this, of course, all these will be gone. Okay, now I have a few more minutes. Let's go back and look at this book again. Oh, by the way, if you would like me, I'll straighten this out down here, sorry about that. But if you would like me to copy this and send this to you, I can do that. Or you can make these yourself once you have these patterns in front of you. But let's just look here at a few more. So I thought this was pretty interesting, and I think this would look really good in a sweater. Now, some of these, now this is sort of like a basket weave here. This is, now again, you're seeing this multiples. All of these, for some reason, have that multiple of 8 plus 2, 8 plus 1, 6 plus 4. Some of them, let's see if we can find one that's just, let me show you this while I'm at this end of the, okay, for ribbing variations, if you want something that looks a little different, okay, here's one here, a 6 plus 3, but these are all variations on ribbing. This here, this is, showing you the seed stitch. This is beautiful, and believe me, again, you can put this in the middle of a sweater, and you can just, you can absolutely do this. It looks a lot more. There was one here I wanted to show you. One of the things about, oh yes, this is pretty cool. Okay, this is knitted in here like a brocade. I mean, it's a big job. It's 54 stitches plus 1 for the repeat. But I thought that was pretty cool. You can sort of see it in here. And so, on that note, class is dismissed. Thank you for being my student yet again. Thank you to all the people that helped me today, to Kevin and Katie and Donna, and I see Steve in there, although I don't know if he did anything or not, but Steve, he's smiling. Thank you for watching Norfolk Knitting School, and I'll be back next week.
My bee, shoo up, shoo ah, my sugar, shoo up, up, my little butter bean.
Down diddy down 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 diddy diddy down diddy down down do I do it down diddy down down. You're so pretty down diddy down down. Ain't it funny how fun love can be? Diddy 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 down diddy down 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 diddy diddy down diddy down down.